Short-term shop plus here to talk about the Outer Banks on this glorious Thursday, I think it is. Anyway, so I have Meg here. Meg is wonderful. She is a licensed real estate agent in North Carolina, and she is with the short-term shop for quite some time now, and she's just a wonderful human. We just appreciate her so much. I had the pleasure of running the Outer Banks Marathon with her. Was that last year? Was that 2 years ago now?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. Where does the time
I
go?
know. I was thinking about that today. I was like, holy cow, 2 years. It's just gone.
Yeah, it seems like yesterday.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we're gonna just explore this market a little bit and dive in as to what Outer Banks has to offer. And Meg, I'll go ahead and let you take over. Tell us a little bit about yourself and where the hell is the Outer Banks?
So the Outer Banks are the barrier islands of North Carolina. My market here, I'm the short-term shops market agent for the Outer Banks, and we are brokered by EXP. But my region, my territory is about 130 miles of coastline. And we have been getting tourists that have been coming here for generations, just families. It's a very, very popular area. To kind of give you an idea of the ratio of visitors versus our long-term residents that live here year-round. We've got about 37,000 permanent year-round residents, and we're seeing an influx anywhere from 250 to 400,000 people coming and going. So upwards of, close to 1 million people every weekend during the high season coming. So this area is really, really dependent on that tourist revenue. And one of the great things about, and I'm probably going to skip around a little bit and we'll get to questions, but one of the really great things about this area is that because it's so dependent, a lot of people are worried about, like, oh, where it's very seasonal here. One of the wonderful things about the Outer Banks is that we really do try to stretch into those shoulder months outside of the popular, Memorial Day to Labor Day period. So we've got, as Luke mentioned, the marathons. There are a lot of race events that occur here. Fishing tournaments, the offshore sport fishing is a big deal here. But we've got I think 2 biker weeks. We've got Jeep Week. We've got Pride Week, and then we've got the Seafood Festival and the Bluegrass Festival, and all of these events actually happen outside of the summer months to continue bringing tourists in. So it's a really great way, and these will be things that you all will be able to tap into, and that I'll be able to help you really kind of promote to continue getting those tourists to come in and stay at your property beyond those really popular summer months.
How long have you lived there?
I moved here in July of 2011, so 13 years now.
And how did you get involved? Like, where did you live previously, and what brought you to the area?
Yeah, so I lived in Richmond, Virginia. I moved down with my boyfriend at the time, so we're now married. But we bought our house here, and I had a really tough time. I just got literally weeks earlier had just gotten my MBA, moved to the Outer Banks, like I'm ready to get to work, and it was just very, very difficult to find work. And I actually started out in the boating industry down on Roanoke Island in Wanchese, and kind of got wet in the whole idea of sailing or selling sailboats rather. But it was a really easy transition to go from boats to properties. And we had started flipping houses just kind of as a little side gig, and realized that we could do so much more than just buying and selling. And so we've done a lot of different types of acquisitions. Our portfolios is pretty diverse here, both in Virginia and in the Outer Banks here in North Carolina. So,
Okay, great. What are some of your favorite things about the area? At the end of the day, this is kind of a small town, right? So it's what makes you happy there?
well, there are lots of cool things about the Outer Banks, but we'll kind of go over the townships in the area. I'll show you guys a map, and there are a lot of townships as you go down the coast. 130 miles is a lot of area to cover. But each of those townships has its own little flavor, its own special independent draw that brings different types of folks, different types of families, groups, friends, to each area. So kind of whatever you're in the mood for, you're going to land it here. You know, if you just want to be out on the beach, you can do that. If you want to go up and tour with the wild horses, you can do that. If you want to go see Gravedigger, you know, like the headquarters for Gravedigger, the muddy motorsports, that's nearby. There's a lot of nature preserves here. Of course, this is the location of the Wright brothers' first flight that took off. So we've got, you know, a lot of monuments, and so there's a lot of history here as well.
And this is like out in the ocean, yes?
Well, we're alongside the ocean. We are flanked by the Atlantic Ocean on one side, and then the Albemarle, Pamlico, and Roanoke Sounds along the western side of the islands that separate us from the mainland. So you do
Okay.
cross bridges to get here.
Are you ready to show us a map and go over that?
Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
I think I enabled that.
Yeah. So here, let me see. Tell me if you can see this. Share. Can y'all see that map?
Yeah. Looks
Awesome.
great.
All right. So this is just going to show you the islands. And the reason I want to show this to you so that you can get a sense of like all of these flags, these are all townships. So the majority of the folks who do come to visit the Outer Banks, you know, your popular destinations are going to be anywhere from number 2 right here, which is Corolla, all the way down to number 7, which is Nags Head. And that's really is where the central, the easiest to get to areas are. Now, when you do come across the bridges, you're either going to come across from the western side from, you know, people like if they're coming like from Raleigh area. This here is Roanoke Island. You're going to come across to Roanoke Island, then you're going to take another bridge over to the mainland, which is going to drop you in Nags Head. Now, if you go south, you're going to start hitting, you know, the Rodanthe, Wave, Salvo, Avon, Buxton, which then will take you all the way down to Ocracoke. And Ocracoke's fun. You put your car on a ferry and you cross the ferry, but it's a bit of a distance. Like it's going to add another several hours to your trip, but it's amazing down there because it's very quaint, very local. You're not going to have a lot of commercial. In fact, that's actually true pretty much once you get to Rodanthe. All of these islands down here are going to be much more quaint, kind of more gentle. A lot of your water sports enthusiasts, your kiteboarders and sailors. And so there are a lot of events kind of down here in these areas. And then, of course, it's outside of Nags Head, kind of down in here. You've got the Oregon Inlet, which is where all of the sport fishing boats go out for the
How do I get
tournament.
from 16 to, how do I get from Hatteras to Ocracoke? Is there a bridge?
Well, no, so that's the ferry. You take a ferry. You
A
drive your
ferry.
car onto the ferry and it takes you down there.
How big is Ocracoke? Are there a lot of people living there?
Well, so 37,000 locals in all of the area. There are not a lot of locals. I don't know the number, but I
I'm
mean,
Googling it.
it's a tough place to live down there. I mean, you know, when you talk about the Outer Banks, a lot of people have heard, you know, of course, they think about the hurricanes and the weather. Like it's tough, but there are people that would not want to live anywhere else. I mean, they're committed, they're local, their families have lived there for years. So,
Yes,
but it's
715 is the current population.
okay.
So
There you go.
very, very few, under 1,000. Is there a grocery store? I mean, I don't know that you're even going there very often.
You're gonna bring a cooler of food for sure, but yeah, I mean there are restaurants. The beaches are beautiful. When we went down there, we celebrated an anniversary. We just took our beach cruisers and we rode our bikes everywhere, and we stayed at a lovely little inn down there, and it was lovely. Stayed for a weekend. It was really really pretty down there. So it is quiet and quaint, and yeah, it's lovely. So the areas that I typically tell my investors to kind of focus on is going to be again this Corolla starting at number 2 and taking us down to number 7 in Roanoke, because you know again those are kind of the popular beaches. But among those 5 areas, um, you're really going to get the greatest number of people that are going to be there, but it's also the easiest to get to. So if you're not coming across the mainland from here, from Roanoke Island, you're going to be coming across the bridge, the Wright Memorial Bridge, and that's going to land you actually down here in number 5, Kitty Hawk. So you're going to come across the bridge here to Kitty Hawk, and then you're either going to take a fish hook and to go up to like towards Duck and Southern Shores and Kitty Hawk and these areas up here, or you're going to carry on and you're going to come down this road here, which is called the bypass, and that's going to be an important thing to remember here in a little bit. Because the bypass is going to be what divides basically the ocean side of properties from the sound side properties. So that's a term that you'll hear a lot. But yeah, it's just these are the areas that they're easy to get to and really most populated.
So the main bridge goes across to right to Kitty Hawk.
Yes, and then you have the other one if you're coming like more from directly west, not necessarily from the north, but if you're coming from the south or the west, you're going to take that other bridge, which takes you across Roanoke Island and then over here to Nags Head.
Is the entire thing, technically an island? Is there a way to get from land to land to Corova
No,
up north?
we are barrier islands.
All burial. Okay, cool.
They're all barrier islands. Now, once you get north of Corova, I am fairly certain that you cannot get up to Virginia that way. Um, and there's an area, the northernmost part of Corolla, it turns into that kind of that area is called the 4x4 area. And to access the homes that are up there, you actually have to pull over. They have an air down station where you have to air down your tires. You have to be in a 4x4 vehicle to be able to access those properties up there. It's beautiful, but it does add a layer of complication, I think, for both new owners that don't know the area very well and guests that aren't already familiar going, because you get stuck. I mean, there's a whole Facebook page that is just rags on people who get their cars stuck. And, it's photos and images of them trying to push their cars through the sand. And, it's terrible, but, people go out there in their sedans and their Teslas and they sports cars and they get stuck. So
It's absolutely fascinating. And again, I Googled it. The total population of both Corolla and Corova is about the same as Ocracoke. It's somewhere in the 700, and actually Corova only has 200 people that actually live there year round. So this is a very, isolated area, which is cool.
Yeah, it is cool. And there are people who would not dream of staying anywhere else. But I think when you're entering this market for your first property, it's just, there's a technicality there that I think needs to be in consideration with that area. But it is beautiful. And that's, you'll hear about the wild horses. That's where you go. And you can rent Jeeps here on the Outer Banks. You can rent all kinds of 4x4 vehicles and go out on the beaches and go see the horses. And don't feed the horses.
Don't feed the horse.
Don't feed the horses. Do not feed the horses.
Why is that?
They're very, very protected animals here on the Outer Banks. And if they're not eating the natural grasses, people want to give them carrots and they want to give them apples. And we have horses that get fed and pass away. The food gets stuck in the wrong pipe and it's awful.
They're not used to it.
They're not used to it. We just got to let them eat their natural foods. But
are they everywhere? Are there a lot of them?
No, up in that 4x4 area. Like once you get in that northern Corolla area, there are tours that, I think that some people it's kind of controversial. These big buses that go up there. A lot of folks aren't crazy about the idea of buses going up there and disturbing the animals, but it is very common for people to take their 4x4 vehicles and go up there. And like the surf fishing is really nice up there. Again, like you mentioned, it's very isolated. And so you do just see people just driving. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. You'll go for, miles without seeing a house. And, but you'll then see a group of horses that are gorgeous. So it's pretty special. It's special up there.
But as far as, rental real estate and the bulk of the tourist action, we're looking at 5, 6, 7. Is that true?
5, 6, 7, what?
On your map here, Kitty Hawk.
Yeah. Okay, so I would say south of that 4x4 area in Corolla, all the way down through South Nags Head. So you can see, like really this is all still, Nags Head here. It's a bit of a drive. Like if you were to come across and hit Nags Head to go down to Roanoke, you're probably looking at another 40 or 45 minutes to get down there. But yeah, really, I would say between 2 and 7. Those are going to be the main areas that I would consider. And
Okay.
it's where we invest.
Right, right. And is that where you live? You're in that area somewhere?
So I'm actually over here, and let me see if I can pull up this other map to kind of show you. It's an actual Google map. And folks, when you're looking at properties, I highly suggest use Google Maps to help you really start looking, getting able to identify the different locations and proximity to the water. It'll really help start giving you a sense of, the different price points and where it's two houses may look identical, same number of bedrooms, they're both updated, but vastly different price ranges. Google map it and you're probably going to find your answer there. So let me see real quickly if I can find this other map. Share screen. This one, share. It comes up. Why isn't it big? Oh no. All right, hang tight. I'm
Well, that's
trying
where,
to
yeah, that's a
share.
property we're seeing right there. Maybe it's a different
Yeah,
browser.
I know. I can't. It's gone on my screen. Your share screen. Here. It's gone for me
Okay,
for
hold
some
on.
reason.
Let's
How very
try this.
strange. It's gotten 80 oh, well, yeah.
Now hit share again and see if you find it on that other screen.
Start again. All right, so it is actually on the same, it is on the same window. Yeah, it's just like this little green box. I don't know what I've done. I'm sure I've done something. Well, I was basically going to just pull up Google Maps for you so you can kind of get a sense. This isn't really very
Is that where
interesting.
you're that other tab at the very top there with the 1006, whatever it was?
That one is the property that I was going to show you guys.
Here, I'll pull up a Google map.
I
No
don't know
worries.
what's going on. Yeah, sorry about that.
No, not at all.
Somehow minimized, which is a shame because I really want you to see this whole
Yes, we're
show.
gonna check it out right now. Let's go. Here we go. Let's see. What do we got here?
All right.
Okay, so we'll just go to maps, I suppose, and
Sure. Yeah, there you go. Cool. Can you minimize this side, that side tab? You probably can't see what I'm pointing at. See where it says gum neck? There's a little arrow right there. You go. Okay. Well, now see if you can zoom into so you see how the barrier islands are, and you'll see the bridges that I was talking about that come across from the west, and then you'll see a bridge that comes across from the north. All right. So hold. Okay. So stay steady right there and zoom in. Do you see that purple? The purple, look a little bit west of the barrier islands. It'll say like Wright Memorial, Kill Devil Hills.
yes.
In the center. All right, so zoom in and kind of that area there. So this is all going to be kind of on the western side of the barrier islands. And where you see all of those little inlets, all of those fingers, that's called Collington Harbor, or where the fingers are, but this is all Collington Island. So those are going to all be Soundside properties. They're going to be more affordable. Long-term rentals are allowed back there. We've had long-term rentals back here that have been wonderful. I live back here on that island as well. So it is a bit of a hike to get to the beach. It's probably, I mean, I live almost at the very, very end near the inlet that takes you out to the sound. So just even to get to my guard gate, it's a 5-minute drive, and then probably another maybe 8 minutes to get out to that bypass. Remember we talked about the bypass? See that highway that kind of splits the roads? Yeah, so that one look that you're on, that's actually the beach road. And I'm really glad you're pointing that out because when we start talking about the areas that are between the highways, that's going to be the section that's between that beach road and the bypass. And that is a really desirable place to be because you're still going to be able to walk in that strip. All of those properties that are in between between the highways, you're going to be able to walk and bring all your gear, bring your kids. It's all safe. They've got wonderful lots of beach access points. Now, if you are on the west side, your guests are going to want to drive, but there's plenty of beach parking too. So it's not out of the question to have a west side property. But I wanted to point out Collington Island just because there are lots of opportunities back there. And I think there's kind of this thought that unless you're right on the beach, you're not going to make any money. And I like to kind of dismiss that a little bit.
So
Um,
if I were to buy something up in here, I would
mhm.
assume that my main goal is to be like, a lower price per night would be ideal.
You're going to have a lower price by night, but you're also going to attract people who, so this particular subdivision has its own private boat launch. So you're going to want to promote, that if you've got a dock, if you're on a canal, you're going to want to promote that and have as many people, like invite people to bring their boats down. They can leave their trailer like down at the parking area at the marina where you launch. Um, and these kind of details are things that I can help you navigate. I know these subdivisions, I know these areas, and so if your budget's not, up in the millions, there are still lots of opportunities, even if you're sub 750.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, again, I think you do want to be paying close attention to, keeping your price per night as low as possible when you're getting further away from the beach. But
Agreed.
I think it sounds, I mean, I've been up in here too. I think the marathon ends like right here.
It did. Yep.
Yeah, because I
Yep. At that
remember,
right memorial. Yep.
yeah, I remember going up
Exactly.
here and I was freezing cold, even though
It was.
it wasn't that cold, but post race, you're freezing all the
Oh,
time.
well, it was raining. I don't remember
Yeah,
the rain on the nose for the first like 6 miles. It was
it was
just,
horrible.
it was and muddy and yeah,
Yeah, the weather was absolutely horrible. But then it did get much nicer later.
it did.
But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah. So, there's opportunities to have stuff that's like really cool up in
Yeah.
here, and if you have a desire to be in the area, you can probably make a play at it.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, I don't think, once you get off of this, again, what do you call this strip between the
So that
roads?
strip's it's called between the highways. So you're between the bypass, which is a 5-lane highway, anywhere from 45 to 50 miles an hour. I am a very nervous person, and families do cross that road at crosswalks. There are pedestrian crossways. I'm a nervous person. I would always recommend that my guests go ahead and drive to the beach. But you can walk, and people do walk. So along the point of kind of the of affordable properties, Luke, I'd also like to talk a little bit about opportunities with condos, because if you want to be right there on the water, but your budget's, anywhere like between 5 and 600,000, there are still opportunities to do that where you are oceanfront in a condo. The condo might have, a pool there that you can use, easy to access. We've got, 2 bedroom, 1 bath, and then you'll see like a 3-3 condo. So there's a whole scale of condos as well. And with the Outer Banks, there actually is a height requirement. So we don't have these skyscraper hotels or condos or anything like that. So they're probably only going to be, I think 3 stories is probably about as high as they're going to go.
Any
But
idea what I can get into a one-bedroom condo for?
if you're going to be on the ocean side, it's going to probably be anywhere but maybe 450 to 525 for something that's more kind of updated. And
Is it safe to say that this strip between the highways here is almost all rentals?
depends on the area. So, up in Kitty Hawk, there's a road that's called Lindbergh Avenue. And it's really desirable, but it goes for miles down. You'd have to zoom in pretty good. We actually have a long-term rental in there, and I've had 3 short-term shop buyers actually buy in that strip just because the location is so fabulous. So that's a really good area. But it is also, yes, residential, which is what your question was, are there a lot of people who live there full time? But yeah, I would say that between the highways, it's there, you are gonna have a lot of long-term. And then Collington Harbor, where all the inlets with those canals are, is also heavily residential.
Okay, cool. Talk to me about hurricanes. Let's say
Yeah.
I'm from Nebraska, so that would be a good example because we sure as hell don't have hurricanes there. And of course, we see there's this famous video of the house falling into the water. Talk to us about that a little bit. At least I mean, obviously you're not a weatherman or a weatherwoman, but
Sure,
your
of course.
opinions and having been here for quite some time, what are your thoughts on that whole thing?
Yeah, so my early days, when we would have hurricanes, I would always evacuate, and then of course I had a young child, and I would always leave. Um, they do occur. I'm not going to deny it. When you get to that Rodanthe and south of Rodanthe, those areas are going to be much more prone to erosion and overwash. So those areas all the way down to Ocracoke. Remember we talked about Ocracoke, that's all the way at the tip. Um, once you get down to those areas, those are going to be the first to evacuate during a hurricane, and they're going to be the last to be let back onto the island. So they let people in stages, based on, or first of all, are you a resident? Do you own a business? If you're a guest, which township are you staying in? But typically anything for Rodanthe and South, those are going to be the last areas that are let back in. I think we had two last week that fell into the ocean in Rodanthe.
You're kidding me.
Mm-mm. So I think it's been four. I think we've had four let me think about this. We just had a whole story about this. In recent history, there have been four that have gone down. Like I would say in the last year or so, maybe 2 years. I want everybody to keep in mind this area a lot. First of all, the beach erosion in that area it absolutely happens. I'm not going to tell people do not buy in Rodanthe. It is lovely down there. Just really be cautious. Speak with an insurance, with a service that can kind of talk with you about, like camera restrictions, like what happens if you do lose your house, can you rebuild there? Do you have to, do you have to do a setback? There are a lot of homeowners who are actually picking up their houses and they're moving them western away from the ocean a little bit and then having them reset, further inland. But yeah, that stretch in Rodanthe is really tricky. I just would say proceed with caution. It's going to be more affordable, and you're going to see these big houses and the ocean comes right up to it and it looks so beautiful, and you don't want that. What you actually want is you want a 50-foot setback from the high tide water line, or a 25-foot setback from the first line of vegetation from the property. And that's going to help keep you protected. But when you see these beaches that or these homes that are right on the beach, those are waiting to fall.
Because a lot of these, it does look like there's a decent amount of space here, but maybe this is low tide or something.
It could be low tide. If you were to Google Rodanthe beach erosion and not look necessarily on, you'll be able to see. I mean, I can, if anybody wants to talk about this further, I've got some friends who are
Oh,
photographers
here we
that have
go.
gone out, and yeah, I mean, there are some homes that are really
Here they
looking
are.
at. Yep. And even Luke, even that row of housing behind that street right there, it really is even too close. So
I wonder, these houses have probably been here a long time too.
uh, they probably have been.
Yeah. Because I don't see them doing that, like building them right there today.
No, they're again, the beach erosion, we do have rising waters that is a naturally occurring thing all around the world. So that is happening too. But yeah, I mean, back up a little bit from the ocean. If you're gonna own this house for 10 years, just you need to consider, that water line is
Yeah,
probably
look at
gonna
this. This is
be
just looks like a
going.
bad idea. Like, why would you even build this unless there was more
Well,
beach there
so
previously?
there was more beach there previously. It's not, and these aren't dumb owners. I think if they were to sell them, the buyer really just needs to be very aware of the risks at that, to the point where actually the North Carolina Real Estate Commission has actually created a very specific pamphlet on just making buyers aware of, if there are some agents out there who are not well informed or they do not take the time to educate their buyers. That is part of our job. It is part of my job to help keep my buyers from buying risky properties, or to at least make them informed. But you're going to look at the pricing on that stuff and it's going to look like, holy cow. Again, this is back to when you're comparing the two houses. How is this property here, $800,000, and then if I look at the same one up in Kitty Hawk, it's 1.25 million.
Hmm.
This is why.
Right. And the
Why.
ones that have fallen in, the four that have fallen in, were all down in Rodanthe.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yep. And
Yeah.
they can't so the shoals that are down there, which is basically the sand like out once you get into the ocean, they're always moving, they're always shifting. And so they actually can't do beach nourishment. Like by the time they would bring in all the machines and put in those thousands of tons of sand to kind of help keep that erosion from happening, it would all be washed away again. It's just it's the way the geography of that of the coast that right there. It's just it's a tough spot.
But we don't
It's a
really
tough
see that
spot.
in Nags Head or Kill Devil Hill, or not at all, or less.
No, well, no, you are going to see it again. We do have rising waters all over the earth, but the erosion issues are really pronounced down in Rodanthe for sure.
And how did things go with this? Obviously, Helene was a really bad situation for much of North Carolina, but maybe not your far as far east as
Not,
you.
it's been, Luke, it's been really a strange sensation. That type of storm is what we experience here. And so to watch my Western neighbors go through that, it's been tough because, when we get hit with it, at least we have the tools and the machines and the people who are used to this. We're is proactive when we know the storm is coming, and then we can respond very quickly. It's been heartbreaking to watch what's happening out there, just because they don't have the tools. And we got some heavy rain, and that was it here.
Mm. Um, okay, cool. So, but obviously hurricanes happen every year. It's something you got to
Yes.
think about this time every year. We're recording this in September, October, and it's just part of beach life. It just
Mhm.
is. But the further I will say, when I've been there, when we ran the race, I didn't notice anything, that was of concern. Of course, I was up in more of the tourist area, and this is a very, very big area, right? Well, how many miles did you say this whole thing is?
130.
130 miles. It's massive.
Yeah, it's a
It's
lot
like
of
a
area.
130-mile long toothpick.
Yes, it is.
Okay, cool. Now, do you have a house you could show us? Just give us an example of something that would maybe be for sale in your area.
Yeah. I'm going to do this. I'm actually going to close out this. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to close out this window, and I'm going to open it again in a new window and see if that helps me get rid of, I don't know what I did. Merp. Let's see this. All right, here she is. All right, let me get back to you, and let me share my screen and see if we can get back to it and share. Did it work?
Yes, we see a house,
Great.
Virginia Dare Choice.
Awesome. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So I'm going to actually cheat. I'm going to look on my computer over here because this is where I've got all my information saved on here. So this one is actually on the Beach Road, which is so Beach Road is what divides the oceanfront properties from the semi-oceanfront properties. So we are one row over from
Can you click?
oceanfront.
I'm sorry. Can you click that map view real quick? Next to photos at the top, right underneath your name. Yep,
I do not see where you're talking.
right there. At least it is on my end. Maybe it's different on your end.
No, this is participants here.
Oh,
I don't know how to get, let me
you
get
you have the
it.
participant thing over the top of it. Take that
Okay, all
whole
right.
big black bar and move
Map
it. There you
view.
go.
All right, so let
Zoom
me
out.
yeah. Hold on. Now all my people are this is fun. All right, so that property is, so this is going to be the bypass is here. This is going to be the beach road. So everything here is oceanfront. This is all oceanfront here. So this property that's a 4-bedroom, it's $850,000, is right here, is right there. So these are all going to be
Zoom out
oceanfront.
even further so I can see like where which bridge and stuff. There we go. Okay, so you're right by, not far from where you were talking about where
Yeah,
you live.
so this is Kill Devil Hills, very, very central, central area. Again, that's kind of the middle of between that Corolla and Nags Head strip that I'm suggesting. Here's again, this is between the highways here, but I mean, this is Semi-Oceanfront. What's nice about this one is that the location is ideal with as far as like restaurants and shops and all the putt-putt, all the fun amenities that there are to do here. Not far is this big like climbing adventure park. And then, maybe a 15-20 minute drive from here is Roanoke Island, which is where we get lots of live music in the summertime. A lot of musicians come through. And then the festival park is also very nearby, which is there's one in Nags Head. It's a Soundside. event center that's pretty new and it's awesome. So this is a great location. Easy to get, shoot up to Corolla and easy to, get down to P Island, which is kind of with us down like the Rodanthe area. I mean, people, it's just even the bridges to get down to Rodanthe, even if you just were just to go and just go for a drive, and there are places that you can pull off and walk out on the ocean, and it's just beautiful, and the beaches are so pristine. But back to this house. The reason I chose this one is because of the central location. It's semi-oceanfront and it's also under a million. It does not have a pool, but that's okay. I did look up the septic, and there is, well, you would need to take into consideration if you wanted to put in a pool where that septic tank is. We do run on septic here. The majority of the properties here, you're going to have a private septic tank. A few subdivisions do have municipal water or waste systems rather. But this one for sure does have an underground septic tank. So, you'd need to work with the town to where you would move that septic tank. But it does have a very large backyard. So there might be an opportunity to put a pool in here. That's another reason that I actually liked it though.
All right, hold on. Let's talk about pools if you don't mind. What
Yeah.
are your thoughts there? I mean, this is just an opinion. You don't need to be right, but do I have to have a pool or do I not have to have a pool?
If it's in the budget, once you kind of get up to $1 million, you really should be getting a pool for, a house once you get up into that $1 million. But you can still find properties that, are 750 and have like a little cocktail pool that, you just kind of dip in. Not mandatory, but of course, if your neighbor's got a pool and if you have two like properties, they're going to book yours or book theirs before they book yours. People, like their pools heated. It's funny, you wouldn't think so, but even in the summertime, people like to have a hot tub. They like to get into a hot tub in the summertime. So those are also, if you can't quite get into a property that, where you can't afford a pool, get a hot tub. It'll go far.
Okay, hold on. The reason normally we would say no hot tub in a beach town, but you do have a bit of a season here, right? Like it does get chilly in the wintertime.
Mhm. Yes, it does. Hot tubs are very common and people want them. They absolutely get used. In fact, kind of when you hire, if you have a pool, you're likely to have a hot tub. But yeah, that service is kind of a package deal, with our pool service folks. Hot tubs are very, very common.
Okay.
Very common. And yes.
And does the tourist season, coincide with the weather? In other words, do people disappear in October or November and then not come back until March? Or do we get a couple of sprinkles of tourism in the wintertime, Christmas, etc.? You tell me.
Christmas, Thanksgiving, we still have tourists through the month of October. We still see quite a few people down here. I think there are, younger adults that don't yet have children, or empty nesters who come. Like once all of the big families, the multi-generations and all the children are gone, the beaches are still warm. The water's still warm. You can still go swimming. We still have our lifeguards are out there right now. In fact, my husband and I took a couple hours. We're doing a big renovation on our house right now. And I was just like, the walls are closing in. I have to get out. And we went for just a couple of hours, and beach wasn't crowded, but there were still a bunch of people out there. Lifeguards were out and it was great. It was a beautiful day. So it is nice to come. The restaurants are all still open in October and into November. Typically right around Thanksgiving is when they kind of shut down for the season and then pick back up again in maybe March. But yeah, no, we're still getting tourists now. Thanksgiving will definitely get a boost, a bump of people, and Christmas and New Year's will get a bump. But the season, what's funny, Luke, is that St. Patrick's Day is really like my observations and what we've seen with our rental properties. St. Patrick's Day is really, it's not even Memorial Day when we really start picking back up. And we've got a huge parade that happens every year. It's the Kelly St. Patrick's Day parade, Mike Kelly parade. And so It brings tons of people down and it's super fun. I think I don't know how many miles it is. It might even only be a couple miles long, but it's a really big deal here, big tradition. And that's really when we do start seeing the traffic pick up and rentals start coming in. And then, immediately after that, you're starting to see the spring breakers in April and May. And then once school lets out, at the end of May and June, that's approved. Sorry. Oh.
No,
Do you
I
want
was
me
just
to?
gonna I was just gonna
Oh,
steer a little bit while you were
oh yeah, no, yeah, go for
talking.
it. Sure. So
But anyway, if you
really,
could go back and I'll let you steer. Go back and how much is this house? I guess let's start with
okay,
that.
so this one is 850. Um, so I was gonna just kind of
Oh
let you
yeah,
run
yep. Sorry, you do your
pictures a little
thing.
bit. All right. Do you want to do it? You can do
No,
it.
not at all. Not at
Okay.
all.
So this is nicely updated. What I really appreciate is that they've got the LVP in here. You're gonna get sand in your house, people. There's no way around it. Um, I will tell you though, and this is one of the things I tell all of my buyers is put a little foot washing station where you pull the chain, rinse off your feet. People actually love having that. They don't want to walk around on sandy floors either. And like, especially the kids, like they like to play in it and splash in it. Like let them put in a little foot washing station. It's a very easy thing to do.
Beach
But
life.
yeah, this one, I liked because it is nicely updated. They've done a really nice job with the decorations. They've kept that beachy feel without it being kind of nauseating. Um, and it's
So
not
it
super
it
dated.
likely would not have had these floors to begin with, is what you're saying.
Carpet. I think normally, you'll see a lot of stuff that people still, they just have never ripped the carpet out. So you're still having, kind of gross carpet that, maybe animals have been in there and it's just, you've got renters and, spills and feet. So I do appreciate when I see LVP on some of these floors. But as you can see, like it's lovely. What a darling little house to go into. They've got it accessible for kids. Oh, decks. Decks are a really big thing. If you end up getting not necessarily this house, but like a beach box, a 3 bedroom, 2 bath. Um, Decks are a wonderful thing to provide additional kind of just living space or beneath the house if there are opportunities to kind of create there are you don't just look at the interior, like I've got a buyer in town right now. He's actually based in Miami and he's in town right now, completely redoing his backyard and creating this amazing like hangout space. It's awesome. He's really taking advantage. It's a huge yard. And he's taking advantage in this kind of, as we're coming off the season to get this ready for, for next summer already. And it's beautiful. He's doing a great job. But decks are a great thing to have here. You can see this is the backyard here that I was talking about. It's pretty sprawling. I know that there is septic back here. And again, you would just, for the purpose of this discussion, you would contact the city to find out like, hey, what would we need to do with regards to the septic tank to be able to put a pool in? You just
Does
need to
everything have septic?
Nearly. There are a couple subdivisions here. Some of the newer developed areas have kind of a private water treatment and waste treatment program. Water is going to be municipal, but yeah, the majority of the properties on the Outer Banks are going to have septic, are going to be septic.
Interesting.
Hmm. So I know that you can't see it in these pictures and the agent did not identify, but I know that there is nearby, I think First Street, we can go back to that map. I think it said that First Street is going to be your beach access. So basically you're just going to cross the beach road, which is called North Virginia Dare. So this is North Virginia just because it's, once you get down to Nags Head, it's South Virginia. But yeah, oh, and along the beach road are tons of pedestrian crosswalks. So all of your beach accesses, and then even along the roads are also flanked with pedestrian walks. So even if you're pulling a wagon with kids and umbrellas and whatnot, it's really, really safe to be over there. And lots of beach accesses and traffic has to stop. It is a state law on that road that if there's anyone standing on either side of those access points, you are required to stop and you will get a ticket if you get caught. So, which is a good thing. It's a good thing to tell your guests. Like it's
Hmm.
a safety thing, which is it's nice. It's nice to have that.
Wonderful. All right. So no pool, no hot tub. Just a cute little two-story. Well, on stilts, I guess. So but it's 2 stories.
Yeah.
And what's the purchase price?
So this one's 850. Um, But as you can see, nicely updated, it's turnkey, it's ready to go. You can again add the pool, add the hot tub if you want to. But let's talk real quickly about furnishings here on the Outer Banks because the majority of these properties are empty. You don't have long-term residents living in them. When they do get sold, majority of them do come furnished. So what you see is what you get, and it is banked in with that purchase price. There will be a separate bill of sale for $1 to purchase the furniture, and they do that for financing reasons. But it's what you see is what you get. You literally can go close on that day and stay in your house that night.
All right. And how long has this been? Does it say how long it's been on market?
This one I think said 53. Oh, this one's actually been on there longer. This one's been on there about 3 months now.
3 months.
Yeah.
Would you say that at 850K, is this thing somewhere? And again, this is going to change in 3 months. When depends on when somebody's watching this, but just for frame of reference, is this full market? I mean, it's probably a little, maybe even a little too high.
They've only dropped it 15,000 since they listed it. I think the fact that it is so updated and people probably do want a pool, if you're willing to take the time to do the research and find out, about putting a pool in there, this is a great little house with incredible potential, I think.
Even at the price that they're asking.
Well, so the market basically charges the price, right? Like whatever
Right.
someone's gonna pay is what the house is worth. And like I said, they've only done one $15,000 drop and nobody's biting.
So you could go in here and offer, I mean, whatever you want, really. At this point, it's not like they're going to say no.
Well, they might, and
They'll
get
say
to.
no to your number, maybe, but they're not going to say go, pound sand. They'll
Sure.
come back with a counter or something.
Yeah. And so that's a great strategy though, Luke, is that when you submit the offer, even if you're going to lowball, which I am happy, I will submit whatever offer anybody asks me to do for them, and basically say like, hey, this is the start of the negotiation. This is just opening the door and let's see where we land.
Yeah, because especially that's what I'm doing right now anyway, with something that's been on the market for 3 months. I'm going. I mean, I wouldn't be afraid to offer 750 here.
Yeah.
And then, and
I
yes,
think
that's
closer to
ridiculous,
8.
but
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. But a semi-ocean front property, it's a 4 bedroom. I mean, you should be doing, that should be getting quite a bit of occupancy through the year. The location's amazing. You're very near the beach and a lot of these events that we talked about that happen off the season. So yeah.
so this
But
house
again,
this is in the wheelhouse for somebody who would be looking to buy a rental property in this area.
absolutely. Yes.
Okay. What is a gross? I know you don't like to talk numbers, and that's totally cool. But what
Yeah.
kind of a ballpark gross can I expect on this thing? Can I
I
get
mean,
over
I
100?
think
Can I get 120?
Yeah, that might be a bit of a reach. I would say 80 is probably between 80 and 95, maybe, or not, maybe 90, 80 and 90. I'm gonna say 80 to 90.
But if I had a pool, we'd be getting much
Oh, yeah,
closer to
that's
120.
a whole nother story. Yes, I would say 120 is absolutely achievable for sure with a
Mhm.
pool,
With the pool.
100%. Yeah.
Okay. And what would this house go for? Just making this up. What would this house go for? What would I have to buy it for if it already had the pool?
Um, Gosh, over $1 million.
Over a
think
million.
100%. Yes. With the,
Okay.
with the updates in there, if you were to add a pool and a hot tub, I would say it would definitely be sitting in $1 million.
Okay. Right at a million somewhere in that neighborhood.
Mhm.
All right. Anything else we need to know?
Um,
Did you have another screen to share on
yeah.
the show, or I can't remember?
No, there was something that you'd said with the pool and the numbers. Oh, darn it. I did want to touch on real
It'll
quickly.
come back to you.
Um, oh, you said something that triggered an idea in my mind that I wanted to say, and now
I do that all the time.
it's gone. Darn it. Well, but that's okay. Hopefully, folks on this call or anybody who watches it later will get in touch, and I'm sure I will remember by then.
Yeah, absolutely. Are there HOAs in the area? Does this house have, that typical HOAs or no?
So HOAs that you'll see, your condos are definitely going to have HOAs, and folks just keep in mind when you're looking at those numbers, it's also those HOAs are going to look really high, but keep in mind it's paying for your pool, your parking, any shared accommodation or amenity that has to do with that building. It covers a lot of your insurances. So when you're running your numbers, oh, I remembered what I was going to say, Luke. I remembered
I knew
now.
you would.
So when you're running your numbers, just take into consideration you're not going to be adding on pool service, insurance, your capex. You're going to have to add HVAC and a roof and whatnot. Like a lot of that's already going to be taken care of in there. Um, what's going to come with your listings, if you all decide that you want to come work with me here on the Outer Banks, is that because we are so established as a tourist destination and these are second homes, these list agents are really savvy. They're great to work with. I have a very strong rapport with so many of the list agents that are here on this beach, and they will provide a list of like updated all of like the updates that the home has seen, like last time the new HVAC, when was the roof last replaced, when was the pool liner last done. So they'll provide those to you so that you're not waiting to go under contract and then get your inspection back and then you have like all of these things. You're like, what? Now things are going to get caught that are not going to be on these reports, but they also do provide expenses as well, so you're not just having to like shoot out there like ideas like what does an electric bill look like annually. That's actually provided by a lot of these sellers. They'll tell you what expenses they're already experiencing and share that, so when you go to do your analysis, those numbers are going to be really, really close to what you will see as the owner.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
All
it's good
right.
stuff.
Yes. Listen, I'm fascinated. I love that your cute little life you have here on this island, and it seems so wonderful and happy,
It
and
is.
I'm glad to have
Sunshine.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad to have been a part of it for a minute when we ran the race, and it is just an unbelievable peaceful. It's like serene, it's just a great area. So glad to be able to talk about it today on Short Term Shop Plus. And of course, you can find Meg at the Short Term Shop, Meg at the shorttermshop.com or agents at the shorttermshop.com. And I think that's it, unless
Yeah.
we've forgotten anything.
No, I remembered what I forgot, so
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
I'm
there
good.
we
But
go.
like, let's carry on the conversation and let's talk some more.
Wonderful to have you,
Thank you,
and
Luke.
great to see you
Good to
as
see
always.
you.
So
Yeah,
thank you so much,
yeah. All
everybody.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye now.
Bye.